So, a quick review of all of our different kinds of verbs: ER, RE, GER, and stem changing verbs. Essentially everything that we've done so far in French class, except for avoir and être, which of course are irregular and must be memorized. So remember, our first two steps to verb conjugation always remain the same. Step 1, find the stem by dropping the last two letters. The stem is then repeated behind every single subject pronoun. And step 2, add the endings that match whatever your last two letters were. So if you dropped off an ER, add the ER endings. If you dropped off an RE, add the RE endings. For ER verbs, remember that those endings are E, ES, E, ONS, EZ, ENT. Those will never change. Those are the exact same endings that we use on every single verb. The only thing that changes is the stem. So if we look at the example of regarder, to watch, we can see how we got to this conjugation by finding our stem, regarde, which is just regarder without the ER. And that is the very beginning of every single one of our verb forms behind the subject pronoun. The only part that's different from the stem are those endings, the E, ES, E, ONS, EZ, ENT. That's all it takes. So, question number 1. Conjugate the verb for the given subject pronoun. So if you were talking about elle, how would you conjugate dessiner? From here, we have two different subsets of ER verbs. The first is GER verbs. Our verb conjugation steps are the same. Find the stem by dropping the last two letters, in this case the ER, and then add the endings that match. E, ES, E, EZ, and ENT. The only thing that we have to think about differently here is we're going to add another E in front of that O and S. The reason that we do that is because the G makes two different sounds based upon the vowel that follows it. We want to make sure that all of our verbs sound the same way, so that we don't go from mange to mang. Therefore, since everything else begins with an E, and an O would make the G change sounds, the easiest way to fix it is just to add in an extra E. This will only happen when the ER stem ends in the letter G. So if we look at the example voyager, to travel, we find our stem, VOYAG. That's the beginning of every single one of our verb conjugations. We added our endings, EES, E, EONS, EZ, ENT. The only reason we did that was because that stem ended in the letter G. We have to make sure that it sounds like voyage the whole time. Without that E in the new form, it would say je voyage, tu voyages, il voyage, nous voyageons. It doesn't sound the same. We want to make sure that it stays consistent. Same basic concept with the CER verbs. Find the stem by dropping the last two letters, the ER, and then add the ER endings, E, ESE, ONS, EZ, ENT. However, we have the exact same problem with the C that we have with a G. It can either make an S sound or a K sound based on the vowel that comes after it. We want to make sure that it makes an S sound. The easiest way to do that with a C is to add a cedilla underneath, that little upside down question mark accent. That forces our C to always make an S sound. So we don't have to worry about adding an extra E. We're just going to throw a cedilla onto the end of our stem. So for example, if we look at the verb effacer, to erase. Here's our stem, EFFAC. We just took that and we added the endings onto every single one of them, EES, E, ONS, EZ, ENT. But in order to make sure that that C makes the right sound, efface, tu effaces, il efface, we have to make sure that we add that cedilla, nous effaçons. Without the cedilla, it would say nous effaçons, and that doesn't make any sense. So, question number 2. Conjugate the verb for the given subject pronoun. How would you say nous and corriger, to correct? RE verbs. The exact same 2 steps for our verb conjugation. Find the stem by dropping the last 2 letters, in this case now RE. Then we'll add the endings that match the RE. The last 3 are the same, ONS, EZ, ENT. Our second column does not change between ER and RE. However, the first column does. We go from EESE. Now, in an RE verb, we'll use S, and then nothing. There is no ending for the il, elle, and on singular conjugation. Add an S to the je, an S to the tu, il, elle, and on. The verb conjugation is the stem. There's nothing else you have to do with it. And then continue on as normal, ONS, EZ, ENT. So for example, entendre, to hear. We find our stem, entend, E-N-T-E-N-D. That goes behind every single one of our subject pronouns. Remember to contract with je because E is, of course, a vowel. And then we add our endings, S, and then nothing in that entire last conjugation. ONS, EZ, ENT, our second column, does not change. It works the exact same way as ER verbs. So question number 3, conjugate the verb for the given subject pronoun. How about je and rendre, to return something or to give back something? And then finally our stem changers. These are the brand new ones that we looked at today in class. The first 2 steps are the same. Find the stem by dropping the last 2 letters. All of the ones we've looked at today and that we're going to in this unit are all ER verbs, but there are stem changers that occur in all 3 verb categories. And then add the endings that match whatever the last 2 letters of the infinitive are. But this time we add a 3rd step. We have to add or change accents in the boot as necessary. That's why they're called stem changing. So for example, today we looked at acheter, meaning to buy. Our conjugation is below. We can find our stem, achète, A-C-H-E-T. That's the beginning of every single one of our verb conjugations. We added our endings, E-E-S-E, O-N-S, E-Z, E-N-T, because acheter ends in the letters E-R, and E-E-S-E, O-N-S, E-Z, E-N-T are the 6 endings we use for ER verbs. And then we found the boot. Remember, the boot is our entire first column, and the last box on the second column, the je, tu, il, elle, on, il, and elle. Everything in this section, in that boot of the chart, we're going to add an accent grave to the first E. Note that nous achetons and vous achetez do not have accents on them because they're outside of the boot. The other verb we looked at was préférer, to prefer. So our stem, préfère. We added our endings, E-E-S-E, O-N-S, E-Z, E-N-T, since préférer ends in an ER, and those are the 6 endings that match ER verbs. We found our boot, and now, because there's already an accent on that E, we have to find our ending and then go backwards until we hit the next E. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's the first E of the word, the second E of the word, the 10th E of the word. It's whatever E happens right before the ending. Now we're going to change the direction of that accent. So now je préfère has one accent aigu followed by an accent grave. Tu préfères, same thing, accent aigu, accent grave. Il, elle, on, il, and elle all do the exact same thing. Nous préférons and vous préférez, they stay the same because they're outside of the boot. So they'll have two accent aigus. So questions 4 and 5. Given that both of the verbs below are stem-changing verbs, conjugate them for the given subject pronoun. So question 4, we're going to conjugate the verb lever, to stand up or to rise, for tu. And question number 5, we'll conjugate the verb espérer, to hope, for nous.